Hello and good evening from Dartford. Well, it's week 3 of the John Bull Bitter London Pool Championships, and this year they've been extended to include the number ones from England, Wales and Scotland. And that means tonight we can welcome Dave Dolman, England number 1 from Nuneaton in Warwickshire. Well, really, in every way, a pool heavyweight. Now, Dave's captained his country. He's got a tremendous record in all the major tournaments. Mick Casey is his opponent tonight. Mick, 20, from Harleston in North London. It's his second year in the shoot pool tournament, and really no one has worked harder since then to improve their game. And Mick has beaten Dave on a couple of very important occasions. But last year, you might remember, our own Steve Clark beat Mick Casey, and Steve's in the commentary box once again tonight with Chris Carter to take us through this 11-frame quarter-final. And Mick, it's you to break.
Well, Mick Casey, just 20 years of age and a very talented young man. Nothing goes down from the break, though, and Dave Dolman, a man who carries a lot of weight in pool circles, I think it's fair to say.
Yes, we've not had the pleasure of seeing Dave Dolman in this tournament before. He really is a marvellous pool player. He's not number 1 for nothing. And he opens this account with a tremendous long yellow into the bottom right, followed by another one into the same pocket. Just sending the black away from the cluster of balls in the centre of the table there. Both men are brilliant potters and they can both play good tactics too. I think we're in for a very, very exciting match here. This is one I personally have been looking forward to. A gentle little touch there from Mick Casey to snooker Dave Dolman.
One thing is for sure, and that's that Mick Casey will not be overawed by the opposition.
He's played that shot nicely. He has a perfect angle to play the red into the bottom left and send the cue ball into the pack. Well, he split them up nicely enough, but missed the pots. Can't afford to do shots like that against big Dave Dolman.
The only consolation is that he's not left a great deal on for Dave.
Well, if Mick can pop the red into the centre pocket, there's no reason why he shouldn't clear up here. Red into the bottom left next.
Well, Jim said earlier that Casey was playing better than ever, and Mick himself certainly underlined the point before the tournament started.
Yeah, because I've put a lot more work into it this time than I did last year, and it's my second appearance on television, and I think I can do a lot better because I've put a lot of work into it.
Can you look back and remember how bad it was for you playing under the television lights for the first time?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of pressure because you're thinking of all the people that you know that are watching, and then when the balls start running against you, it's like heaven falling in its up here. It's just hard playing when it's your first time.
That looks perfect to me. He'll be looking to screw the cue ball back in between the black and the yellow onto the side cushion for the black into the bottom left. That'll do. A little bit harder than necessary, but he should pot this one to take a 1-0 lead.
And Mick Casey does indeed put the black away and goes into the lead in this first frame. He now leads 1-0 against Dave Dolman.
Second frame, Dave Dolman to break.
Dave Dolman to the table for this second frame, and the #1 England player will not be happy to be trailing at this stage.
Red ball's nominated.
He'll be looking to nudge the other yellow out with this shot. It's a good shot. All the yellows now potable. Black goes into the bottom right. He appears to be going for the frame straight away here.
And Mick Casey has a reputation for being one of the best potters of the ball in the business, and he's living up to that reputation.
Yes, he started this frame brilliantly. He had 2 awkward yellows in the pack and just nudged them both out. Made life very easy for himself, and he's now got a finish on. Gentle roll into the centre pocket for the next yellow into the bottom right. This looks perfect. Yellow into the bottom left and black into the bottom right. Brilliant finish from Mick Casey. Absolutely brilliant.
Just the black. And it's there. And Mick Casey now leads by 2-0. And the crowd, understandably delighted. Charles Nolan in the middle of that group.
Third frame, Mick Casey to break.
Mick Casey then, 2-0 in the lead. Can he do a whitewash over Dave Dolman?
Well, dare I
ball
say
nominated.
it, another finish is on here. There's only the one awkward ball on the table, and that's the black. It will not pass the yellow into the bottom right. Mick Casey, 6 reds, and the black away from a 3-0 victory. 3-0 lead, should I say. He'll be working out the running order of these reds in the best fashion to get on the black. The black's the crucial ball here.
Just had a look then to see whether the black would go past the yellow into that bottom right-hand pocket, and he found that it couldn't.
Well, that's a bad shot there from Mick Casey. He's just played. He's out of position. I don't think he's got a pot on unless the red will pot into the top left-hand corner pocket. I think that's the one he's going for.
Recovered from that mistake superbly. And the problem of what to do with the black still very much on Mick Casey's mind.
Brilliant shot from Mick Casey. Left himself the angle to move the yellow. Now the black will pot. It's just this one crucial shot now. He's got to get through those yellows back down the table for the black.
And there are so many yellows there left on the table, Dave Dolman's yellows, that really he needs a fair slice of good fortune.
He's on the black, this is the bottom left, and this is a brilliant finish once again if he gets it.
And Mick Casey has done it. An absolutely superb finish. And Mick Casey now leads by 3 frames to 0 against Dave Dolman.
4th frame, Dave Dolman to break.
Dave Dolman then with an uphill task.
Open table.
Slightly more cautious break there from Dolman. He broke in the 2nd frame, had 1 shot, and that was the end of that frame. He never even had a shot in the 3rd frame. So he's got to be very careful. Mick Casey is bang on form.
Yellow balls nominated.
Played with a lot of left-hand side on the cue ball there. And the cue ball just wandered slightly, and that's the result. He missed the pot, but he's quite happy. The yellow's over the bottom pocket. Dolman perhaps to block the bottom left here.
Well, that really sums up the difference between the 2 men at the moment. Not a particularly good shot from Dave Dolman.
Not a very good shot, Chris, but that red does serve a purpose because he's stopped 2 yellows from going in that pocket. But the way Mick's playing here, I'm sure he'll sort something out.
Well, he's moved the difficult balls off the table in the previous frames. I'm sure he can do it again. Very much a thinking player, not just merely a very good potter. Well, the luck was definitely with him then.
That was a good shot there from Mick Casey. He stunned the cue ball with left-hand side, so as it came off the top cushion to be left-hand side of those 2 awkward yellows, but he missed the pots. Very, very unlucky. Left Dolman with a lot to think about, though.
Well, first the good news, he moved the yellow. Now the bad news, he's put the black there next to those 2 reds.
Well, that's all Dave Dolman can do in this situation, is play the cover-up. He's got to cover the yellows with the reds.
And suddenly Dave Dolman needs to play a tactical game to stay alive in this competition.
Good shot there from Dave Dolman. Delicate little shot to snooker Mick Casey. Just coming off the 1 cushion here. Played that one well because he knew if he missed the one by the D, the cue ball would be travelling towards the bottom right-hand corner of the table.
And with Mick Casey leading by 3 frames to 0, it would be very easy to dismiss Dave Dolman until you start to look at the pedigree of this man. He's the UK's first professional pool player. He's won lots of major tournaments, England international.
Yes, he certainly is a brilliant player, Chris, but it's Dave's misfortune that he's caught Mick on an absolutely brilliant day. Well, that was meant for a double to come back down to the bottom right-hand pocket, but he caught the jaw of the top right-hand pocket and has let Mick in with a chance. Just nudging the black away from that red slightly.
If he can just sneak round the back of the red to put that yellow away, and he can.
Well, that was a beautiful kiss. If he just stuns the cue ball here, I'm sure the black will pass the red into the bottom left, because that's where it'll be going. He can afford to play off the knuckle and in off the red here.
And the red used to put the black down, and Mick Casey now leads astonishingly by 4 frames to 0.
Of the 24 hours in a day, Italians look forward to one with special anticipation. The moment they can once again enjoy Italian pie. We call it Briazzo, baked fresh every day, only at Pizza Hut.
Lynx is different. Lynx is the all-over deodorant body spray for men. Lynx is musk, amber, spice. Lynx, because first impressions last.
Yes. I'll be waiting.
Good evening, madam. I brought you a new polo. Here's your spare keys, your owner's handbook, service schedule, and we find those seats are fully adjustable. Yes, bags of legroom there, madam.
Trust Card is a credit card welcomed throughout the world. Trust Card, for payments and credit wherever you see the Visa sign. Trust Card is backed by TSB. But whoever you bank with, Trust Card, it's all you need.
To compare foreign beers with John Bull Bitter, our researchers made a whirlwind trip abroad. And our researchers' conclusion?
Well, if that's abroad, I reckon you'll soon have people coming to Romford for their holidays.
Maybe it's because I'm a Rondola.
World famous John Bull Bitter from the Romford Brewery Company.
On April the 21st, Her Majesty the Queen celebrates her 60th birthday. With a royal portrait for each decade of Her Majesty's life, the Royal Mail marks this memorable day on 2 pairs of beautiful special stamps. You can also buy this full-colour presentation pack and this splendid souvenir book with stamps and over 100 historic illustrations at main post offices from April the 21st. British Stamps, royal souvenirs for the royal birthday.
Well, as you rejoin us in this 3rd quarter-final of the John Bull Bitter London Pool Championship, we really do look to have a major upset on our hands. Big Dave Dolman, the England #1 from Nuneaton in Warwickshire, has lost all 4 frames so far to the 20-year-old Irishman from Harlesden, Mick Casey, and all in little over a quarter of an hour's play.
Dave Dolman, I'm sure, did not believe for one moment that he'd be trailing by 4 frames to 0. A nightmare situation for the England #1 as Mick Casey strides to the table full of confidence to break in this 5th frame.
Open table.
Well, a very open table in every meaning of the word.
I'm sure Dave will be looking to pot a red from this position. Well, he can't afford to do shots like that the way Mick Casey's playing. He might well punish him with that one.
Red ball's nominated.
He just tried to nudge the black away from that yellow, but he didn't succeed too well. Just looking to see if the red will pass the yellow into the centre pocket. Must be very tight. Down it goes. Already Mick's lining up the black. He's seen it will go into the top right.
I would say that on this sort of form there cannot be a man in the tournament who will not fear Mick Casey. He is playing so well. He's 20 years of age, and that really is a very, very talented performance from a man so young. Well, Mr. Clark, I'm sure modesty will perhaps prevent you from referring to last year's tournament when you beat Mick Casey. But Mick Casey has improved a great deal since then, with all due respect to yourself, of course.
Yes, I agree, Chris. It's absolutely incredible. I'm just so pleased I'm not down there playing against him.
The interesting thing is, I think, that in many ways, lack of experience and nerves was the thing that perhaps cost him the game against you. And at the moment, he shows absolutely no sign of nerves.
No, he's been practicing very, very hard for this tournament, and it certainly seems to have paid off. Although he's played a very loose shot there, he wanted the black into the top right, and he's over-screwed the cue ball. He may try to cannon it off one of the yellows for that top right-hand corner pocket. Well, he's just looking to see if it will go into the centre pocket of the other yellow. Let's see what he can do with this shot.
Well, if he can, this will be a shot and a half. He's going for it. Close, but not close enough. But again, the pressure on Dave Dolman. The opportunities to snooker are there, but that black ball is nicely hovering over that centre pocket, Steve.
Yes, he's just going to roll up behind these yellows here.
But the black is in a situation where if Mick Casey can get out of the snooker, he can pot the black in the escape.
Here's a Massey round the two yellows. No, he's changed his mind. Looking to come across the table twice here.
Well,
this is Dave Dolman's first real opportunity to win a frame. 2 shots, all the yellows are potable, and although he's 4-0 down, he's such a brilliant player, I expect him to clear the table here.
Rest, please.
Well, Dave Dolman asking for the rest. The yellow into the bottom left. Cannot get across the table as easily as the other players, of course.
Well, second visit.
Bad mistake from Dave Dolman.
Mistake. Absolutely, Steve. A bad miss.
Cue ball's close.
Well, Dave Dolman knew this one would be a tough one, but did he know just how tough?
I've probably got the hardest quarter-final draw playing young Michael Casey, who's ranked number 3 in the UK at the moment.
Now, you've played Mick before, and I think he's beaten you, hasn't he?
Well, he has beaten me, yes, you're quite right. But on our last meeting, I beat him 6-2 in the final of the Warner's Pro-Am tournament, which was a professional ranking tournament.
Would you expect your superior experience, if you like, to come through here?
Well, I'm hoping that my nerves don't get to me, and as apparently Michael's nerves got to him last year in the tournament. But he's a superb player.
It looks as though he's got his first frame in this match.
Just the black to go. And the England number 1, Dave Dolman, lines up his final shot. And down goes the black, and Dave Dolman has come back. He trails now by 4 frames to 1, and I'm sure he'll be delighted to have got that winning 1 frame under his belt. A big belt that it is. And there is the superb John Bull Bitter trophy that the competitors here are aiming to collect. And if Dave Dolman is going to get his hands on it, he's got an awful lot of work to do. This is the 6th frame. He trails by 4 frames to 1.
Open table.
Yellow almost going into the centre pocket, but not quite, so it's an open table for Mick Casey.
Well, the yellow may be enticing, but the other yellows are not particularly good, so he may go for the red. No, he doesn't. He goes for yellow, and that rather extravagant shot has cost him a foul.
Foul, 2 visits, open table.
Now, we talked about nerves a little earlier, Steve, didn't we, when we said that Mick Casey wasn't showing any signs of nerves before, but maybe having thrown away the
Yellow ball's nominated.
5th frame has shaken him a little bit.
It's certainly brought him back down to reality, because Dolman punished the mistake and won the frame. So he's given Dolman a chance to get into his stride here, and he's away now in this 6th frame. Still 2 shots. All the yellows are potable. Now Dolman beginning to flow, and when he flows, he's so very, very dangerous. Brilliant shot from Dave Dolman. This one, the crucial one. He does not want to snook himself behind that black. Well, he's playing the one into the bottom right. He's using both of his shots.
2nd visit.
Experience beginning to tell with that one. A lot of players may not have used the 2 shots there, but Dave realised the danger. Beautiful little shot from Dave. This one's simple. Little stun up the table, about 6 inches for the black into the bottom right. Well, he's gone a little bit far with that cue ball, but this still should not be no problem for Dave Dolman.
And the black goes down. Dave Dolman, the England #1, has pulled back another frame. He trails now by 4 frames to 2.
In London today, police were called...
LBC, your radio reporting.
Welcome back to the Orchard in Dartford, where the England captain and #1, Big Dave Dolman, is struggling desperately to survive against the young Irishman from Harlesden, Mick Casey. He lost the first 4 frames in this best-of-11 match almost before he realised it. Now he's pulled it back to 4-2. Can he continue his comeback as Casey breaks in the 7th?
Well, the red's gone down, but the cue ball's landed on tight on the bottom cushion. Not a very easy opening shot for Mick Casey here. And of course, he does not want to leave too much on because the yellows are in a nice position too. That was the shot, and he played it brilliantly. A brilliant shot, as I said, but once again, he's in an awkward position. Maybe looking for the snooker here, behind the red at the top right-hand corner of the table. Brilliant shot.
And Dave Dolman has a look at the lie of the table.
You can just get to that yellow, Chris. Playing the plant perhaps into the centre pocket. No, he's smashed it into the top. A great shot.
And suddenly those reds look wide open.
He's got to screw this one back to be perfect on the one into the centre pocket because that's the crucial shot. He's got to play this one just right to fall on the red into the bottom right, and he appears to have to cut the red too thin, so may have to change his plans here.
Mick Casey paid the penalty a little earlier in this game for going for a finish and missing out on the black.
He played that one well, very, very softly. If he can just play this one into the bottom right-hand corner pocket and stun the cue ball onto the yellow, which is on the right-hand side cushion, that will hold position for the black into the centre pocket. The other alternative, of course, is to come off the side cushion, back out for the black into the same pocket as the red. But he's chosen to hold position with the yellow. He's on the black.
A crucial shot. And he's done it. Mick Casey now leads by 5 frames to 2 and is just 1 frame away from a place in the semi-final. Dave Dolman has not yet got out the hankies for the mopping operation, and that was the signal that Mick Casey said would indicate that the nerves were telling. But the nerves must be on him. He needs to win this one to stay alive in the competition. Red goes down, and the white hovers on the edge of that pocket.
We're looking to block the bottom left now.
And Mick Casey reverses the situation in that bottom left-hand pocket. And although a tactical game isn't Mick Casey's normal style of play, when you're leading 5 frames to 2 with just 1 more to take you through to the semi-final, he'll make this game last, this frame last as long as it has to.
Yes, that's the thing, Chris, when you're just 1 frame away from victory, you tend to get too impatient and try to rush it just to get that last frame.
And there is Mick Casey's father. He can do nothing but sit there and watch while the son does the business out there on the table.
Well, Dave will be looking just to roll this red in front of the yellow. Not too good a shot, the yellow still pops.
Mick may decide to just tighten up the situation here with the yellow.
The saving grace for Dave Dolman at the moment would be the yellow on the right-hand side cushion. That's going nowhere, that's got to be moved.
And you can almost hear the thoughts buzzing around inside Mick Casey's head. Does he go for a finish? Does he throw caution to the wind? Well, it looks as though he wants to win in style.
Well, the blacks have knocked out into the open a little bit more. Perhaps he may be playing the awkward yellow now into the top right-hand corner pocket. Otherwise, he's got to take on a very tough plant.
Well, a brave effort.
And look at the cue ball, Chris, right over the centre pocket.
And Dave Dolman has got a lot to think about.
That's a terrible shot from Dave Dolman. He may have thrown away the match, though. He tried to just put the cue ball in behind the black, but he's let Mick Casey in.
Yes.
And that looks it to me, Chris.
May well remember that this is the young man who bought the table that was used for the World Championships that Jim Rempe won Shannon World of Sport last year, and certainly playing on that table has obviously done his pool no harm whatsoever. The black then for a place in the semi-final. There it goes, and his father is on his feet, delighted, absolutely delighted. Dave Dolman congratulates him. And what a tremendous performance from Mick Casey. He wins by 6 frames to 2, and his father there beside himself with pleasure.
Well, that really is a tremendous performance by Mick Casey. And Mick, we might just call you over here to have a chat about that. That's, for me anyway, definitely the performance of these championships so far. You could never have played much better than that.
No, I couldn't have played much better than that. I played the best I could. But I was just pleased with the way I played.
We talked earlier on about the nerves and everything, but it seemed, to me anyway, a nerveless type of performance here tonight.
Yeah, it was nervous for the people that was watching, but the way I played, it gives you a bit more confidence when you know you're potting well. And the work I've put into it, it's just that my mind was right at the time. I was playing confident, so the nerves start going away after a couple of games.
Have you surprised yourself a little bit here, taking care of Big Dave, a really fancied runner in this so comfortably?
Not really. I played there. You could expect a result like that, but taking nothing from Dave, like he just didn't get a chance really. I just played well, and that's not more you can say really.
Right, and we noticed you during the game having a chat to your old man over there, and a little bit of sort of communication between the two of you. What was going on exactly?
He was just cheering me on. He was just saying, "Carry on the good work," like, so I did. I won.
When you sit back and settle down and look back at what you've done here tonight, do you think you'll think of this as the performance of your career?
Yeah, well, you've got to do, really, because it was on television and you've buzzed on television. You can't do it, and it's the best place to do it, really, so just hope I can buzz in the next round the same way.
Absolutely right. I mean, all your fellow pros watching you here tonight, do you think you now will be the man to fear in these championships?
You've got to be after a performance like that, and let them worry about me. I won't worry about them. So just, who's the next one? Maltese if he wins, isn't it?
There's a distinct possibility of that. How do you react to that, facing Maltese Joe?
I don't know. I don't even know if he's played yet. I think he's playing the amateur. It could be a good game because the bloke that qualified, he's qualified through a lot of players, and he ain't going to be no mug. He's got his work cut out, but whoever I play, I'm not really bothered, really, because the way I'm playing, I fancy beating any of the two of them.
I'm not surprised about that. Very well done indeed. Tremendous. Well, that really has been a great performance, that by Mick Casey, and he joins Steve Sanders and Charlie Nolan in the semi-finals. Things shaping up here, and of course Mick will play the winner of next week's match, as we said, between the holder and top seed, Maltese Joe Barbara, and that rank outsider Peter Lofts. Now, Peter has come through literally from thousands of hopefuls in the pub knockout competition, but what a tough prospect that could be for him. Find out how Peter gets on next Friday. Till then, from us all in Dartford, a very good. To you from the Orchard Theatre in Dartford, where this year's John Bull Bitter London Pool Championships are really starting to take shape. Tonight, the last semi-finalist will be decided, and we see the entrance of the man. He's taken part in all 4 shoot pool competitions. He's the holder and the favourite. Of course, he's Maltese Joe Barbara, aged 35, and Joe also holds the Yugo Cars European title. He was runner-up to Jim Rempe in last year's World Championship. Now, Joe's opponent tonight is the rank outsider. He's emerged from thousands of pub players to appear here as the amateur qualifier, and of course this is his first televised appearance. He's Peter Lofts, aged 26, a draftsman, and Peter plays for the White Horse pub at Sippenham in Slough. He's already won £1,250 for qualifying, and he's meeting Joe for the very first time. Now, Peter tells us the pinnacle of his career so far was winning a national holiday camp competition, and that earned him £300 and a wet weekend in Brighton. Well, let's get on with the action then. Our last quarter-final, commentary by Chris Carter and that respected professional Steve Clark. 11 frames the distance, as always. Now, Joe has won the toss, and he's asked Peter to break. Off you go, Peter.
First frame, break.
And if there was ever a David and Goliath battle in the pool, this is the one. Peter Lofts, the amateur who's fought his way through against amazing odds to reach this competition against arguably the best pool player in Europe, if not the world.
Nice opening pot there from Peter. He's slightly out of position there, the cue ball down there on the bottom cushion. Good shot from Peter, removing the yellow away from the red. All the reds are now in potable positions. Let's see what Maltese Joe can do about this situation. There certainly doesn't appear to be a pot on. May just roll the yellow towards the reds and leave the cue ball reasonably safe. There's a yellow next to the 2 reds now.
Well, you can see from the looks of Maltese Joe Barbara that he's shed a few pounds in the past few weeks. He's gone on a diet, and for viewers who can hardly recognise the new slimline Joe Barbara, the reigning world champion's been telling us about the reason behind his dramatic weight loss.
Well, I feel I can play better with the weight I've lost, and I used to look at myself on the screens, and when I saw my guts, I've decided to lose weight, and I think since I lost weight, my game has improved a lot.
You've taken a fair bit off, haven't you?
I did, yeah. Oh, yeah, 1 stone and 8 pounds I lost.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no one would argue about Maltese Joe's position as a man always in the picture, but this man is going to try and do something about it.
That's a foul. 2 visits.
Tried to make contact with the red off of 1 cushion and almost made contact off the 2nd cushion, but has given Maltese Joe 2 shots and a free table.
Well, Joe Barbara knows what Peter Lofts will be going through right now because he remembers how he felt the first time he played on television.
Well, I was shaking a bit, obviously, with the cameras in front of you, people watching, whatever. I've got used to it now. I think he's going to have a bit of pressure. But I'm not going to underestimate him because to win the amateur championships, you know, to qualify here, he's got to be a good player. So I'm just going to play my own game, and I won't underestimate him at all.
Second visit.
A loose one there from Joe. Should have potted that one.
And interestingly enough, it may be a new look Maltese Joe, but it's certainly a new style Maltese Joe at the moment because normally the man plays tactical stuff, but against his amateur opponent, he's being as open as he can be. Well, Peter Lofts could be excused butterflies in the tummy on such a big occasion for him, though he did tell us he doesn't suffer from nerves.
I normally do just before I play, but once I'm on the table, I'm okay. So I'm looking forward to playing Joe.
But this must be a rather unfamiliar setup for you with all the lights and the television and things like that.
Yeah, I've never played in front of TV cameras before. I've played under quite strong lights in front of sort of 500 people. I played a snooker match against Steve Davis once in front of 500 people.
Well, are we in for a shock in this opening frame? Is the amateur champion going to open the scoring? Just the black to go. It rattles on the edges of the jaw and will not drop down. And all of Joe's instincts tell him to play cautiously here, to go for the snooker, and to give himself enough time and space to go for the win. But there's a danger with that black ball hovering there, and there is the danger.
Well, he was in perfect position, had it gone, but he's missed it, and he's left it for Peter now just to pot the black and win the first frame.
There goes the black, and Peter Lofts, the amateur champion, has won the opening frame.
Second frame, Joe Barbara to break.
And I'm sure Joe Barbara didn't expect the script to read that he would lose the opening frame in this quarter-final. And an open table, wide open, and again the amateur champion, 26-year-old Peter Lofts, now living in Bracknell, though he was born and raised in Slough, in with a good chance of going for clearance if he wants to.
Yellow ball is nominated.
Yes, as you say, Chris, the finish is there. Just the one awkward yellow, the one to the left of the black. That one's got to be moved. He has that opportunity now. He could play the one to the bottom right and screw into the red next to the black and split the yellow up. Well, that's nicely done.
Well, before the game, Peter Lofts told me that he's quite prepared to take on Maltese Joe in a potting game, although he wouldn't be quite so drawn as to what would happen if it was a tactical contest. Well, it's been a potting game so far. And the yellow ball refuses to drop, but that's not a disaster by any manner of means. Joe trying to tie up the black. Peter Lofts, the final survivor of 7,850 amateur competitors who battled to fight their way through to take part in this competition.
And it's really very, very difficult to gain position on a ball when you're playing the one that's so close to the pocket. And that's the result. He's out of position. Rather fortunate not to be snookered, actually.
As you say, Steve, it could have been worse, couldn't it?
Yes, I think it may be worse after this shot, Chris. Joe has the opportunity to play the red